Hello Year 6! This week in Geography we will be focusing on why the rainforests are important to us. Let's have a look back at what we have learnt so far. Weeks ago, in Lesson 2, we looked at how the rainforests affect the climate of the world. They help to keep the world's climate balanced by absorbing carbon dioxide from the atmosphere and are vital to the water cycle by creating rainfall and preventing droughts. In fact, the plants of the rainforest provide a huge 20% of the Earth's oxygen, which is vital to life on Earth. We have also learnt during our topic that the rainforests are important to us because they're home to over half of the world's plants and animals. Last week, we focused on the indigenous people of the rainforests. Overall, around 60 million tribal people still live in the world's rainforests, and these people depend on it for their livelihoods. Today we are going to find out more about why the rainforests are important to us by looking at which products we get from rainforests, which we use and can even save lives. Now, you might think of tropical rainforests as faraway places that have little to do with your daily life, but actually, we all rely on forests more than we realise. Firstly, did you know that all of these foods come from the rainforests of the world? There are many more, but vanilla, pineapples, avocados, bananas, spices, cocoa, which makes chocolate, coffee and tea, and Brazil nuts all come from the rainforests. Let's find out a little more about how the rainforests provide for people now in this short film.
The Amazon, the largest rainforest in the world. 6.9 million square kilometers spread across 9 countries. 30 million animal species. Unparalleled biodiversity. Home to hundreds of traditional peoples with their own customs, languages, and culture. 27 million people live in the Brazilian Amazon only. Indigenous people, river people called ribeirinhos, extractivists, ex-slave communities known as quilombolas. For all of them, the forest provides, and has been providing for thousands of years, among other things, the essential: food.
Also, we get many useful products that we use for building and creating things. Tropical rainforests yield some of the most beautiful and valuable woods in the world, such as teak, mahogany, rosewood, balsa, sandalwood, and many more. These woods surround us at home and in other buildings in the form of furniture, panelling, and so on. Also, rainforest products show up in our homes in other ways, as forest fibres are found in rugs, ropes, strings, and fabric. Rubber from rubber trees is used to make things we take for granted, such as tyres for our bikes and cars. Did you know that tropical oils are key ingredients in lots of cosmetics, such as soaps, shampoos, perfumes, and in cleaning products like disinfectants and detergents? Now this brings us on to the main focus of our lesson today: medicines that come from the rainforest. It is amazing to learn that around 25% of modern medicines contain ingredients that come from rainforest plants, and even more incredible when you know that as it stands, less than 5% of the known plants have been thoroughly examined for their medicinal properties. There must be so much more for us as humans to learn, and perhaps so many more illnesses that could be cured if we protect the rainforests and have those plants for many generations to come for scientists to do their research on. Now you might remember that in our very first lesson, weeks ago, we watched a short film about how the indigenous people of the rainforests have known about and used plants from the forest for medicine for generations. Let's have a recap of that film now.
I recently learned something amazing about the rainforest. About 25% of modern medication comes from its plants. The rainforest holds remedies for everything from snake bites to tumors. The rainforest is particularly rich in plants proven to fight cancer. Today on Supernatural Adventures, I'm going to take you with me to meet a man who knows the secrets of rainforest plants. This is Candido Morales. He lives in Puerto Viejo on the Caribbean side of Costa Rica. Candido is part Bribri, which is one of the indigenous groups of people in this area of the world. The Bribri have existed for 5,000 years. Like many indigenous populations around the world, however, the number living today has shrunk dramatically from several 100,000 to just 11,000 people now. Candido is a botanist, which is someone who studies plants. In the Bribri culture, however, being a botanist is more than just studying plants. It's about being an expert in the ancient art of using plants as medicine to cure sickness and disease. Most of this knowledge is unknown to people who live in modern societies. When we're sick, we get medicine from a pharmacy, and it comes in a powder or a pill. When someone comes to Candido because they're sick, he goes out into his garden and finds the right plants, the way native peoples have been doing it for thousands of years. I asked Candido to show me around his natural pharmacy, which has more than 1,500 species of plants. Candido told me he learned the secrets of the plants from his Bribri mother. Bribri is an oral culture, which means they don't write things down. Instead, they pass information and their customs from generation to generation by telling it. They have no written language and thus no books, except simple ones like this, that are made up of pictures to tell a story. This makes Candido's knowledge about the plants all that more precious, because it's all in his head. If he dies without passing this knowledge on to other people, it's like losing a book with 5,000 years worth of information in it. But Candido is passing on his knowledge. Every Saturday, Bribri kids from the area come to Candido's home to learn about Bribri culture. For instance, this is their calendar, and this is how they write their numbers. The children also learn about medicinal plants. Will and Michael and I joined in on one of Candido's classes. In today's class, Candido is showing us how to make a stretcher out of forest materials. One of the things I learned from spending time with Candido and other native peoples is that nature provides just about everything we need to survive and be healthy. Will got to pretend he sprained his ankle. Candido showed us which plants to gather to stop pain and swelling. Then Will got to try out the stretcher. In addition to medicine, I learned that the Bribri use plants for all kinds of things, like making natural paint. The rainforest really is an unbelievable treasure chest full of natural riches. In fact, even though rainforests cover just 2% of the Earth's surface, they hold more than 50% of the world's animals and plants. And guess what? Only 1% of the rainforest plants have been researched by Western scientists. That means there are a lot more medicines and cures hidden in the forest that are yet to be discovered by modern scientists. Rainforests used to cover 14% of the Earth's land surface. Experts estimate that the last remaining rainforest could be gone in less than 40 years. People like Candido are working to save the forest by educating local people about their value. We can all do our part to help the rainforest. You're doing one thing right now, learning about it. Candido told me his message to everyone in the world is that in order for the human race to survive, we need to take care of nature and our environment. If we don't, he said, the world will end. Nature is our hope. Thanks for coming along on our supernatural rainforest adventure.
Next, let's take a look at a couple of very important rainforest plants that have even saved lives. So first, here's the Madagascar Rosy Periwinkle. This pretty plant comes from Madagascar and gives us two very important cancer-fighting medicines, vinblastine and vincristine. Vincristine has helped increase the chance of surviving childhood leukemia from 10% to a massive 90%, while vinblastine is used to treat Hodgkin's disease. Traditional Madagascan healers used the Rosy Periwinkle for treating diabetes, and this led to its study by Western scientists, who then discovered its anti-cancer properties. Next, we have the Chinchona tree, and I really hope I'm saying that correctly, but I'm not an expert. The Chinchona tree gives us quinine. Now, quinine is an important drug that comes from this tree, and it was the first effective medicine used to treat malaria. Malaria is a serious and sometimes fatal disease caused by a parasite that commonly infects a certain type of mosquito which feeds on humans. People who get malaria are typically very sick, with high fevers, shaking chills, and a flu-like illness. Quinine was originally discovered by the Quechua tribe, apologies again, who mixed the ground bark of cinchona trees with sweetened water to prevent shivering in cold weather. This is another rainforest lifesaver. Now it's time for you to take over and become the Rainforest Doctor for today. This is your task. Your task is to read each patient's notes carefully to find out what is wrong with them. We've got 2 for you to treat with whichever rainforest medicine that you find will do the job. You'll find the patient cards describing their illnesses on the Google Drive, and I'll show you those in a moment. Then you're going to use the Rainforest database, which I'll show you how to do now. The link is in the drive for you to access quickly, but I've also put it on the PowerPoint here for you. So what we're going to do is take a look at the suggested treatments for different kinds of illnesses, and what we're trying to find is one medicine that will treat our patient for both of their complaints. So for example, here's my example patient for you. Apologies for the silly names. This is Mr. I am not well. His diagnosis on his patient treatment card is this. Firstly, he's got a headache. We all know what a headache is, but it's pain caused by the tissues surrounding the skull and brain. So he's got a problem with that. But his second complaint is that he has indigestion, so stomach pain. This is pain and discomfort caused by inflammation in the stomach. So when I go, apologies for the spelling here. When I go to the Rainforest database, I'm going to be seeing if I can find a plant that will treat him for both of these complaints that he has. Now I've launched the tropical plant database here to show you, and I'm in the ailments, diseases and conditions section. So thinking about my patient, the first thing that I know he has wrong with him is a headache. So I'm going to go ahead and scroll on down and see if I can find the headache section and see what it suggests. So I'm going to go down, it's all alphabetical, all the way down to H. Can I see headache anywhere? Here we go. Okay, so for a headache, these are the suggested plants that could treat Mr. I am not well. So I'm going to try to remember those now. I've actually taken a screenshot of this bit so it will help me. The second thing that he had wrong with him was indigestion, that inflammation of the stomach. So that begins with an I, so I'm going to carry on down and see if I can find indigestion here. Aha! Here we are. Indigestion. Now I've taken a screenshot of that as well so that I can compare them both to show you. So if I go back to my patient, here we go. Now when I looked through, I actually found that there was one rainforest plant that both of these ailments had in common. And that's what you're trying to do. You're trying to find one plant that will treat them both. Now this is guaco, one medicine that will treat both illnesses. So going back to my rainforest database, I'm going to click on this so that I can find out a little bit more about that plant and load it up. Because the next thing I'm going to want to do is find some information about how my patient should take this. Are they using the bark? Are they grinding it up? Are they taking the leaves? And how it's going to help. So if I scroll down on this now, I'll find the summary at the bottom, and it's telling me here that in order to prepare this, my patient is going to need to take the leaves, 2 cups of fresh leaves or half a cup of dried leaves, and infuse them in a litre of water, and then take that infusion 4 times a day. So that's going to be my treatment for the patient. And why? Well, because it's a pain reliever, so it's going to help them with their headache, but also it has these anti-inflammatory, where does it say that? Aha, anti-inflammatory properties, which is going to help them with their stomach. So then all I would need to do, I'd get my Rainforest Doctor prescription form, which is on the Google Drive, but if you don't want to print this out, then you can just write this on any note paper. I'd put the name of my patient, which in my case was Mr. I am not well, and put his symptoms, where his symptoms were a headache and also indigestion. My treatment is guaco, and he's going to take it as 2 cups of leaves infused in water, and he's going to have that 4 times a day. And then I'm going to explain that guaco helps with a pain relief, so that will help him with his headache, but it also has inflammatory properties, which is going to take down any pain in his stomach area. So that's how I would fill in my prescription form. Now on the Google Drive, you're going to find 2 different patient forms for you to be the Rainforest Doctor today. You've got Mr. P. Orley and you've got Miss A. Ling. They've both got 2 different conditions wrong with them, and as I said before, what you're going to try to do is use the plant database. If I just go back, you're going to look up their conditions and see if you can find one medicine that will treat both of the complaints that they have before filling in the prescription form for them. We're trying to be as efficient as possible. We don't want to give them too many different kinds of medicine, so we're looking for one that will treat both of their complaints. So that's it. That's your task for today, to be Rainforest Doctors. Everything you need is on the Google Drive. You'll find both of the patient forms on there. You'll find your Rainforest Doctor prescription form, but there really isn't any need to print these out. These you can read on the Google Drive, and this you could write onto any note paper if you don't want to print it. That's absolutely fine. So now it's time to click on the link, which is in the Google Drive, which will take you to the Rainforest Plant Database. After you've read through the patient information form for Mr. P. Orley, of course, and noticed that he has trouble with asthma, and he also has trouble with arthritis, you'll want to know what both of these are before you can find a plant in common that might help to treat both of these things and make him well. And then you're going to write up your prescription form for him before you move on to Miss A. Ling. Good luck with your geography this week, everybody. I can't wait to see it.